Oh, look out.
Yeah, they're jumping up there in the distance. They're everywhere. That's right. And they're big.
You ain't seen nothing yet. Sometimes we'll see in excess of 30 fish in the air at the same time. If we go up, when we're driving fish into nets in particular, when it gets crazy. And when there's that many in the air at once, it can be, these nets are definitely needed. If you will definitely get hit.
It's creating chaos with people being injured by flying fish. When you catch one straight on, it's going to knock you cold, knock teeth out, everything else.
Although dozens of people have been injured, no one has been killed, at least not yet. But Rasmussen says it's only a matter of time.
I got one right in the cheek. This one right here.
That's a female.
That's probably about a 20-pounder. I didn't get hurt, fortunately. I just, he hit me at a glancing blow, but straight on, that would have been trouble.
That's you want revenge?
Sure. Son of a bitch. Good night.
God.
But nowhere is the Asian carp invasion more critical than it is upstream on the Illinois.
Okay, so Jerry, we've spent almost a week now going up the Mississippi and its tributaries. Why are we here?
Well, this morning, Mark, we're on the Illinois River about 40 miles downstream from Peoria. This is the location where the magnitude of the Asian carp problem is really going to hit home to you.
They call this Asian carp ground zero. That's because the Illinois River is literally infested with them.
Well, you want to just be aware that there's going to be fish flying around all around you. You're probably going to get hit. You know, they're coming in. Just be ready.
At first, there were only a few. Then the number of Asian carp suddenly exploded. Now, nearly 9 out of every 10 fish on the river is a carp, and their numbers are growing. But the only way to see how bad things really are is to jolt the water with electricity. 3, 2,
1. We're talking in the millions of Asian carp, you know, spread throughout the river. You might see hundreds of them that day, you might see thousands, but to put an actual number on it, it's probably going to be impossible because they're so widespread now, but I would say easily in the millions.
It sort of is the world's funniest video, but it's a sad commentary on what we've done to these rivers. They've moved upstream hundreds of miles into the Missouri, into the Ohio, into the upper Mississippi River and the smaller tributaries, and up the Tennessee River. They're all the way up into the state of Ohio. They're way into Tennessee and Kentucky. They're in Iowa, they're in Nebraska, they're in Kansas, they're in Minnesota. Well, not quite, a few in Minnesota, Illinois, all over Indiana, all over the Midwest. We don't want to have another invasion like this occur. We went to the source to look at where they came from. We've seen the spread across the Mississippi River Basin. We want people to realize the magnitude of these invasions.
Now the carp are advancing towards the Chicago Shipping Canal, the only waterway connecting the Mississippi River system to the Great Lakes. When they arrive, the last line of defense will be this $18 million electrical fence built by the Army Corps of Engineers, designed to repel anything that moves in the water.
The carp are about 20 miles downstream. The lake is just a short distance above here. And as long as this barrier remains electrified and intact, hopefully the carp will stay out of the Great Lakes.
Yet Rasmussen says the electrical fence is far from foolproof. There could be power failures, or fishermen could unknowingly use baby carp as bait and release them into the Great Lakes. But there's another problem. In places like Toronto, people have been convicted of selling live Asian carp, and Rasmussen says some have been known to buy them in order to release them for good luck.
Canada, and DFO specifically, takes the threat of Asian carp very seriously. And we've invested significant resources on doing a risk assessment on the 4 Asian carp species, and the potential for negative impacts on our ecosystem is very high.
Specifically, the study found that Asian carp could thrive in waterways all over Canada if the carp got into them.
They could survive throughout most of the provinces, and in some cases up through the Western Territories towards Alaska.
Despite the risk, Ontario is the only province banning the sale or possession of live Asian carp. But Rasmussen says it may not be enough to protect the Great Lakes. With carp so close, the risk of Asian carp invading the largest body of fresh water in the world is very real. If it happens, he says the commercial and sports fisheries from Lake Ontario to Lake Superior will completely collapse.
Canadians need to think about that because they're sitting in cold water temperatures that these fish like. And if they get into the Great Lakes, there's nothing to stop them then from going on up even through the St. Lawrence, as far as they can get by waterway connection.